side, FBZ getting the TP away with the Ghost Scepter. So they lose their Monkey King and their Lip. Zephyr's looking for another one. Actually, no, he just wants a bounty rune. So Hyde, with that Ghost Scepter, gets himself away for a little bit longer. They're going to try and keep on top of this this Morana. Eventually, Raven takes down the Roche and he gets the Aegis, he gets the cheese, and I'd imagine who's got the Ag's blessing for this one. Probably just going to give it to,
honestly,
to the Veno.
Yeah, pretty handy on the Veno, you'd say. Picks it up.
Yep, so Veno's got the Ag's blessing now. They've got cheese coming out as well, and Makoto, man, he tried, but the remnant break of the tree there from Zephyr, huge play, massive stun coming onto the Monkey. He didn't even get a single ability off. He didn't get BKB, he didn't get nothing out. And unfortunately for him, that meant that he died extremely fast, and then Raven just tearing everybody to bits. So, looks like Boom now. They're going to try and defend for a little bit longer. The PA jumps a little bit too far into the base, but she's so tanky. Almost 4,000 health and an Aegis. I don't think you're killing Raven twice, let alone once.
And a cheese. And a satanic.
Yeah, she's good. And a Minotaur horn. So, free stun getting rid of. Just drop the cheese on the ground.
Anymore, that's for sure. They've given the cheese over to Cuckoo, so just wanting him to perhaps be a bit more of the front line and make Raven the one that's going to be taking down these racks.
Well, we're going to try and get something done here. Smoke as well as the Moonlight Shadow. Oh, they're trying to break the tree. Zephyr almost gets himself another Monkey King stun. So they've taken down 2 lanes of racks here. Raven, he's still looking for more. They still have a T2 tower on the top half, so they really can't get much else done. And right now, GeekFam, they want to try and stay inside of the base, but they realize they can't get Megas just yet. They can't complete the game, so they're going to be like, all right, boys and girls, let's go to get the T2 tower. Let's get this done.
It's fine. Waves pushing in. They've already taken 2 lanes. They're in control. You don't need to make a risky play. Whereas, just like what happened around the Roche pit, Boom realized how far behind they were. They needed to try and make a huge play happen to bring themselves back into it with this PA getting out of control. And they're needing to do it again. FBZ, he's on the front lines trying to get Cuckoo.
Oh, they're trying to find something out of this, but it looks like the Halberd coming in onto the light stealer. So Dream Soul and Makoto getting into the backside. They've got 4 heroes kind of grouped up here. But there's so much kite coming out here from GeekFam as well. Raven on the backside, he's getting caught out, getting rolled as well. So he's stunned up on the high ground here. Boom. They're trying to get much done on the bottom side, but Raven, he's doing a lot of work. He's getting stunned up quite a lot, but this massive amount of status of this is doing a lot of work from Makoto. It's half his HP chunk down. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you get the Boundless strike down, because you're just going to go down. He's dead for 100 seconds. So they lost their lives, they've lost their Monkey King, and they're just going to call G here. So boom. They're going to lose the second game, and GeekFam coming out on top with this Raven Phantom Assassin.
Yeah, it was always the inevitability, and I'm glad that you listened to my tips there, Luke, for who to go for in that game based on the draft. As it was GeekFam evening it up 1-1. Go on to a deciding game to see who's going to make it through to the grand final.
5 seconds remaining. Radiant team ban.
By Danog here for the third game of the BTS Pro Series Southeast Asia upper bracket final. Winner of this goes into the grand final. Loser drops down to the winner of Fnatic versus Neon Esports a little bit later on in the day. But Matt, GeekFam, they proved me wrong as a PA hater. And I'm feeling strong for this third one. I feel like GeekFam, they understand how they need to play now up against Boom, and they might be able to take it out.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back at the win probability graph and experience and everything else, it was looking really strong until... What was even the tipping? There was nothing that they could do. Suddenly you're wasting a couple of seconds of your BKB timing. And it just felt like an inevitability after teamfights started going GeekFam's way. So we'll see what they choose to pick and ban out this time around. Boom won the coin flip this time and opted to pick first, and GeekFam actually chose the Radiant side, which means that perhaps they're going for something that's a bit more farm oriented again. You know, they want to have that ancient control. They want something that's going to build into a Battle Fury, and I think it's very wise that they've gotten rid of this Ursa, because it's the sort of hero that Boom, I think, would first pick if given the option.
That is true. Well, they get rid of it now, so GeekFam seems like they're sticking to their guns from what they did in that second match, where they were able to pull out the W. So we'll see how it turns out here for GeekFam and Boom, whether or not Boom are going to stick to the same guns of picking this. What do they open with? The Mirana and... No, that's GeekFam that's been picking the Ember. What? It was Mirana +1.
Beastmaster?
Beastmaster, that was it. I felt like FBZ really didn't have that much crazy impact on the Beastmaster. Yeah, the Hawks are obviously good for vision, but it really didn't feel like they were able to combine that raw and arrow combo. So I don't know, maybe FBZ needs to go back to a little bit of something different.
They're getting some good success out of this Ember Spirit throughout the day, so go back to it again. It's just that versatility. You don't want to be opening up with something that's all too obvious about where it wants to go. I feel like with Boom, though, it's much more oriented towards a core and the support role.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it is true. We'll see if they want to go for like the classic Coddle Ember Spirit to try and really abuse this core Ember Spirit, or whether or not they're going to do what GeekFam have been doing and just running it as a 4 with Zephyr and just trying to get, like Spirit Vessel, Arcane Boots, 4 stuff, and just try and run around the map would be really annoying. But GeekFam, they respond with the Queen of Pain here, so a hero that is in the same vein as Ember Spirit, where they can flexy to whatever role they would like to, and are very, very strong core roles as well. So I would like to see a mid Queen of Pain. I really enjoy watching that hero come out of mid. Yeah, Cuckoo did decently well on the Queen of Pain in that first match, but I want to see a little bit more from this Queen of Pain. I want to see why this hero feels so broken and so strong in a lot of these games.
I want to see them pick the Pos 5 right now. I want to see something like a Bane come out from GeekFam. Just something that's going to win the lane. It's good lockdown if they do choose to put this Ember Spirit into a core role. The Fiend's Grip is fantastic for being able to deal with it. Ogre Magi is fine as well. You can stick him in on the front lines, and it does lean perhaps a bit more into that style where they want to go this hyper carry. They've got the ancient control by being the Dire, so they're going to put a lot more pressure onto that bottom tier 1 tower, and then the Bloodlust is just going to enable their core a whole lot more. So it's just a question of what one are they going to pick up. Maybe it's going to be something like the PA again. Maybe it's going to be a Luna, but you obviously don't want those Eclipse beams being tanked up by all these Chen creep.
Yeah, I don't think you really... I mean, Luna's still pretty good at dealing with the Chen creeps, right? Because of the bouncing glaives. Like, Moon glaives are a decent one, but as you said, if you pop out that Eclipse, it is a bit of a feels bad, man, when you see 3 of these Chen creeps soaking up 90% of the beams. You're like, well, it was a bit of a waste, but we'll see what they want to go for. I like seeing heroes like Juggernaut and stuff like that with the Ogre Magi. I feel like that would be fairly strong against something like a Chen. I guess it's kind of in the same vein as the as
not
the
against
Luna,
the
right?
Chen, not against the Ember Spirit. Roll could be okay. Lockdown was through, but I think they're waiting until the last pick of the draft for whatever Raven's hero is. It's just one of those things where, again, they've got the last pick the entire time. I think they're very happy with how the draft has gone so far. They've got their support buffer, basically, and Queen of Pain just a solid hero in 3 different roles that it can potentially go for.
Yeah, that is true. You can run this ogre pretty much wherever. Same with the queen. So we'll see how they want to switch it up here. So the Slark ban coming out from Boom. So that leads me to think that FBZ is going to be picking something like Tide or Underlord or what's another hero that really gets beaten by Slark? Pretty much any melee offlaner, but it really does feel like that they're trying to utilize FBZ to have something like the Tide Hunter or like the Underlord up in this safe lane where he can pretty much just be on the front line and tank everything, and it doesn't matter if he doesn't really get all too many spells off, because that's how they won the first game. And it was kind of the same vein in the second one where FBZ was getting a lot of spells dumped on his head, but he's a Beastmaster. He needs to stay alive for that aura, he needs to stay alive for the raw, and to use the balls as well. So maybe they're just moving into more of the Tide Hunter and the Underlords of the world.
It could be that, but I also feel like we're missing a hero that's being banned out a fair amount in the Bat Rider, and there it is, coming through. So I was thinking that Boom might have picked it up for themselves, just because with the Slark, obviously, if you're quick enough with the fingers, suddenly that lasso isn't all that impactful with Dark Pact. It is one of those heroes as well that they've got a really high win rate on, but not going to be this time around, at least for them. It puts a whole lot more pressure on the Boom side of the map as well to perhaps go a support that's able to push out waves a bit more strongly than the Chen, because Chen's going to be roaming around, backing up the carries a little bit more whilst trying to stay out of experience range. So we'll see what they're able to do. I do think they need to go a little bit greedy now on the Boom support, or it could just be a hide Ember Spirit, which is the definition of a greedy support, but we'll see how they opt to go.
I mean, yeah, I could certainly see them moving in towards something like that, even if they want to go for the Mirana again and make a build a little greedier. Ulceptor's not really all too greedy for the Mirana, but I can understand not being able to super greed out on something like a Mirana, because you don't need to sit and farm out. What about something like an Enigma? I guess you kind of still have to deal with the Bat Rider with the lasso to break the BKB black hole. So
it's a concern, and yeah, I was about to say they need a basic dispel. They got rid of the PL already, so you can't just pick this carry that's going to be able to use Doppelganger to get rid of the sticky napalm. And that also leads me to believe that they're going to go for a bit of a lane swap here. They want to make sure that the Legion Commander is going into this Bat Rider so that when the musical chairs happen, they're not at a disadvantage of being the one to TP first. Having picked the Chen as well means the Oracle's kind of out of the equation. Abaddon, also a possibility, but I think with a Legion Commander, it's good against the Bat Rider, as well as the Queen of Pain, just for that additional down.
Yeah, I think that's probably what would have pushed them over for the Legion Commander, just being able to lock down the Queen of Pain and deal with her very easily. The Pangolier has been the response here from GeekFam, so I don't know who's going where.
I'm going to say it is a Cuckoo Bat Rider, a mid Queen of Pain, and a position 4 Pangolier.
All right. That sounds fun.
Could be a mid Bat, actually.
10 seconds remaining.
That is true.
They are going for this tempo style, right? Like, you need to get the experience early on. You need to get that early Boots of Travels, that early level 7. And, well, you're really going to lane a Legion Commander into a Bat Rider all that easily. If it is going into the mid, it feels like it suffocates a lot of what Boom's trying to do, and you'll just be able to create a lot of that space by having the, again, just to go back to the hyper carry that I feel like GeekFam are going to try and do with this last pick of the draft.
Ooh.
Something a little different.
Lone Druid is a hero that I feel like it's extremely strong in, especially if you pick it this late in the draft. I feel like Boom have a good idea of how they want to play it. This is, I'd imagine, going to be the Bat Rider lane matchup. It's not all too bad for the Lone Druid, right? Because you have to deal with the bear the entire time, and the Bat Rider really can't abuse the bear as much as he can abuse some other carries. So I really like this as kind of a self-sustaining position 1, because as you were saying with the Chen, most of the time you kind of want to leave them to their own devices as a Chen. You give them a little bit in the early game, you get a couple levels, and you go do Chen things a little bit later on in the jungle. So I really like this Lone Druid pick up here from Boom. It does allow them to kind of have a hero that they can just constantly buff up. The Legion Commander can always sit behind the Lone Druid. If the bear ever gets lassoed, the bear ever gets dealt with in whatever way, they can always press the attack it. Same with the Ember Spirit. He can just sit in the back and cause, you know, chaos for the Lone Druid to just throw that bear into good positions for them. So I really like this pick up here from Boom, but I feel like Geek need to have a decent response for their own, as you were saying, that kind of hyper carry that can deal with this Lone Druid, or at least match up well with the Lone Druid.
10 seconds remaining.
Honestly, PA's not the worst. Again, pretty good
5
against the Lone
seconds
Druid.
remaining.
I guess you're kind of screwed if you get rooted up, but I don't mind the PA once more coming out for GeekFam. It worked for them this time around, and again, they've got the space to enable Raven to carry the game.
Yeah, that is true. They don't have the big damage mitigations like they had in the last one with the Conquer, so you might be a little bit more wearisome. I do feel like PA could be quite good for them. I feel like Ember Spirit, obviously until a certain point in the game, deals with it quite well, has a lot of magic damage to deal with her, but you know, once she starts getting a little bit higher level, you can really burst through that Ember Spirit easily, especially if he's locked down by a lasso. So I just want to see maybe like, what about Spectre for GeekFam? Is that too greedy?
5 seconds remaining.
I think it is, and I think you need, not that PA really wants to be that aggressive early on, but I feel like you're going to need to aggress that, especially with this Nature's Prophet coming out as well. It's clear that they want to up the tempo right now. 3 clear damage-taking heroes right now on Boom, and they're probably going to want to save the press the attack on Legion for obviously interrupting stuns and lassos and everything else that's coming through from GeekFam. But if you ever do get a spare moment, let's say you pick off that Bat Rider, just use it on the Lone Druid Bear and those towers melt.
Yeah, that is true. It does mean that as soon as they start getting a little bit of air to breathe, they will be able to chunk through these buildings. But I'm just trying to think of the response here from GeekFam. Like, you can't pick these like scary hyper carries anymore because you've got Nature's Prophet that can put a lot of pressure on you. Same with the Ember Spirit, it's put a lot of pressure across the map. So I'm really feeling bad here for GeekFam. They've got a decent amount of team fight. They've got some good pick off, but they don't really have a good physical damage carry that can deal with this Lone Druid. You need something to get on top of the actual Druid to burst him down and kill him.
It's PA.
You're in this PA basket, Matt. I don't know, man. I'm a huge PA hater. Yeah, maybe Raven might have brought over some shares from the PA hater basket, but I don't know, man. I'm still not feeling it.
What else can get on top of the Lone Druid easily?
Spectre, but then Spectre gets bin, so that's the only real thing that I can think of.
You can get out of Sprout, and
Monkey King.
Which hero will you choose?
King's okay.
Anticipation is
Yeah,
killing me.
I'm okay with that as well.
I just don't know if it's going to be the same type of hyper carry that it is that they need. I'm feeling a bit more strongly about Boom's draft this time around.
Yeah, you're feeling it, the Boom side. I mean, you've been correct twice already, so I feel like right now you're on that 100% hype train. So yeah, I would probably have to agree with you. This Lone Druid hero, I feel like if you get it this late in the draft, 9 times out of 10, it is very, very good for you to be in your draft. So you got to be pretty confident in having a Lone Druid this later on. And I think the Dreamer Cell should have a fairly decent game here up against GeekFam, but we'll see what hero he's going to go up against, because Cuckoo hasn't picked just yet.
5 seconds remaining.
Okay, so it will be Cuckoo Bat.
Mid like that, I don't feel like it was their initial strategy, just because they obviously wanted to be able to prevent this Lone Druid from just taking over the mid lane, and so it is going to be Makoto going mid. We've seen a lot more mid profit in recent times, and you're able to push out your lane fairly well with that Wrath of Nature, which also sets up the ganks, obviously, that are going to be happening throughout the map. And of course, once you've got that duel available, you can just easily burst people down. Lots of global presence right now happening for Boom. I don't know if GeekFam are going to be able to deal with it effectively, and I think, assuming that there's no big misplays coming through, I've got Boom reasonably comfortably this time around.
All right, so Matt's feeling like Boom is the way to go. I would have to agree. I feel like They've got a lot of lockdown. They've got good ways of scaling. Hyde's going to be playing the Ember Spirit, so he can be quite active across the map. And then this Nature's Prophet, I've seen it a million times in the mid lane, and it feels like, I don't want to say it's like impossible to deal with, but most of the time it feels insanely hard to deal with when you do see it coming across.
Are you on the hype train as well for Boom, or are you GeekFam? Like,
Hell yeah, let's go Boom. I am
of Boom, the boys from India.
I'm ready to boom. I don't know if that's a hashtag or whatever, but I'm ready to boom. Let's go with that one.
There's literally a chat line of you know what's cooking Boom, and you're like the cringe god of chat lines, and you didn't go for the one.
Well, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and this time I copped the fat L. So next time, we'll get it next time. But yeah, it really does feel like Boom have put themselves in a really good position to clean this up 2-1 and move themselves into the grand final. Dreamer Cell just walks up with his druid. I don't know where his actual bear was. It's on the other side of the map, it looks like. So they're going to put a lot of pressure onto this outpost here. They're going to be able to clean that one. Can the bear get the outpost? I don't think it can, right?
Can pick up runes, but
I think it just auto attacks it. I think from the 4 games that I've played of Lone Druid this patch, I feel like it just attacks it. Like the Beastmaster Boar. I know that attacks it.
Trying to do its best. Imagine if you could destroy outposts, right? Like, you know what? We don't want to consider this for the rest of the game. Let's just destroy it.
Just deny your own outpost. You're like, if we don't get experience, neither do you. Well, extra experience.
The battle begins.
So
That'd be pretty... Ice Frog, hope you're not listening, but that'd be a pretty interesting thing, right? Like, if the enemy team has a much stronger Roche lineup, just destroy the outpost that's right next to it, and really, I suppose you want to be able to contest it as well. I don't know. I think it's just something interesting to consider.
yeah, it could add like an extra layer. You know, like an extra layer to the game where it's like we have to toss up whether or not it's worth us taking care of this outpost, or should we just kick back and leave it to try and get the experience, or do we really need to get rid of this extra building to get all that map control?
What the just happened? What the just happened?
We got to pause.
Hotkey issues for Coop.
How do people still have hotkey? I mean, I guess I have hotkey issues too sometimes. Sometimes they just unbind themselves, I swear. Like, I'll play a hero that I haven't played in a long time, and then it'll just be like, I'm trying to cast a spell, and I'm like, my hotkeys is not working. And then I check it, and it's unbound. So, I don't know.
Whatever helps you sleep at night.
It's real issues, Matt, alright? It's real issues. I'm struggling with real issues here in my Dota 2 pubs.
Dreamer Cell losing out on the range creep in that first wave. The harass from Cuckoo, it's starting to take effect. Already 4 stacks up on the Druid himself, and that's one of the things that happens when Kez Cutie has to walk back and deal with this outpost, take it back into his control.
Yep. That is true. He got the move speed creep. Yep. Kobold Foreman. Oh, mate, with the speed aura, 12% is actually a lot.
It's a shame they don't have the Bat Rider, because, I mean, Rider just like Sanic.
Yeah. We'll see if this lane does start to work out here for Dreamer Soul, or whether or not Cuckoo can start getting on top here with the Bat Rider.
Speaking of lanes going well, Makoto's having a great time in mid, 9-3 up against the 3-0 from Carl. So that Blightstone putting a lot of pressure on, and he's opted to go for the Gloves of Haste as well, just to get that frequent pass out onto him, forcing him to expend a lot more net worth on just getting some regen for himself. I mean, he doesn't even have enough for another set of tangos.
It really does feel like every time I've seen this Nature's Prophet hero, he bins everybody. Like, actually bins every hero. He's such a strong laner and has really strong auto attacks, and he's like, if I remember this correctly, I think he's like top number 5 or number 6 highest agi gain in the game.
It's pretty nuts.
Which is nuts for a hero that has a lot of damage as well, and then can get free damage from his ulti.
Radiance Courier. How do you say it?
Well,
back up a little bit here from the harass coming through. Zephyr, he's gone for a bit of a back lane, and can this Banisher get in range for the Purge to come off onto him? He's his best.
Yeah, he's pretty slow there in the is the Banisher, and he does have a swash up now, is Zephyr, so he can swash all the way away if he needs to. But this Purge is doing a decent amount of work here. Zephyr's taking a lot of damage, does get the disarm, so it's nice there that the creeps won't follow him.
He pops his healing salve. He's only got enough for the TP in another 5 mana, so try and stack this up or snipe this courier, but quite yet. Let's stuff up the creep equilibrium though, with sitting underneath this one.
Yeah, maybe. They do have... Makoto does have his own creep, so even if it does, like, push a little too hard or whatever, he can deal with it himself.
Manipulate it. 25 gold away until that bottle's going to be available for Carl, so it just feels like he's happy with soaking up some experience for now.
This won't be pretty.
It does feel like Carl's on the back foot here on the Queen of Pain. Instead to see where he makes his first rotation, whether or not he goes towards one of these side lanes to try and get a little bit more back into the game, or whether or not he's gonna just try and stick it out mid so Makoto just doesn't delete his tower and then just take over his jungle.
Forced to pop the blink as well to run, so a little surprised Makoto didn't go for a bit more aggression onto him. Makoto, he's getting rotated on though.
Yep, smartly enough, gets the TP away, and once he gets all the way back to his base, he can just use his teleportation to come back in the lane, and then that's all he has to worry about.
Cuckoo? Here a little bit, but should be able to get away.
Yep, had enough there for a TP. Early on, a lot of these heroes really don't have good ways of dealing with TPs, so but now we'll be seeing a lot of TPs in front of people's faces.
So he gets everything delivered onto him, he gives everything over to the boar, so now that his courier's been able to survive, he should be able to put a bit more pressure onto this tower. Creep wave nearly being denied underneath it as Cuckoo went to grab up that double damage rune, making sure that Nature's Prophet didn't.
Yeah, this is where it starts getting scary here for Cuckoo. If he tries to stick in this lane for a little bit too long, Dreamer Soul can get on top of him with a few lucky roots here and there. Can do a lot of work against the Bat Rider and can do a lot of damage as well. So he has to be very, very careful. Looks like we've got to fight towards the bounty route on the top Radiant side. Zephyr gets a nice little swash all the way through here on FBZ. He's getting chased down as well. Whitemon getting on top of it. Raven finally with the bound the strike cleans that one up. Whitemon doing the homie move and leaving that for his carry.
Very handy for himself, and so he's having an alright time down the bottom side. It's still looking a little bit rough, especially sitting at only 1,500 gold, 600 net worth behind his enemy offlaner, and just not feeling like he's getting the same level of impact as he would like against this lone druid.
Yeah, you would really like to at least get a kill on the druid. I mean, 5 minutes might be a little bit too ambitious, but you need to make sure that you're putting a lot of pressure on this druid, because it's going to get to a point where he's going to get level 5, he's going to get level 6, he's going to have 3 levels in his bear form, he's going to have 3 levels in the spirit link, and even, you know, maybe he might want to go for the true form, and that's when it starts getting really hard to try and deal with this lone druid, because he's going to fall back into the jungle, he's going to farm up, probably going to go for like Master Commander's Deso build or something along those lines, and just be able to do whatever he wants. Zephyr, though, swashed himself up onto a high ground here. There is a mud golem, they don't have the vision though, so he can't cancel the TP.
Again, it just feels like it's going to have to be the Raven show for GeekFam to be able to come back into this. It's not like they've even created a ton of space with this all, right? They're trying to chase down Dreamer Soul as much as they can, but you've got the net worth advantage, you've got the XP advantage. Cuckoo's having to play quite defensively.
Yeah, you almost got hit there by the Wrath of Nature top side, though. Ravens was able to take out high. They want to try and turn it back around onto the Monkey King. Does not have a Boundless Strike to get a nice little bit of regen. He tried to get the jump onto the tree, but it looks like Whitemon ate the tree that he was going to jump onto. So, Raven getting back away. Finally gets away from the rest of Boom.
Good on him to be able to long enough to be able to get away, not giving up his life in the process. Makoto's rotation, of course, happening at the same time. Oh, a rotation through here onto the Nature's Prophet. He might go down if he gets a bit too ambitious.
They did miss out on a few of their spells there. Fortunately, the Ignite hit a little bit later than what they would like to, and Zephyr missed the Swashbuckle as well. So, can't get on top of the Nature's Prophet. Carl made his way all the way over with an Envious Rune. He's going to see if he can take down Hyde, though. Doing a lot of damage here. The Chains does catch out onto the Queen of Pain. So Carl unfortunately loses a little bit there to RNG.
Slowly clawing it back right now, GeekFam. Carl recovering after it was a pretty comprehensive victory, it has to be said, by the Nature's Prophet in the lane, but now neck and neck on that net worth.
Zephyr going for a hunt. He's been a thorn in the side here for Boom. I really feel like after watching this series here between Boom and Geek, it's like just watching the way that Hyde as well as Zephyr move around the map as his position for it reminds me of times of old where you used to have like an Earth Spirit rolling around just being a nuisance to people, you know, being level 2, level 3 for majority of the game, but still getting a lot of work done on that position 4, and I really feel like Hyde as well as Zephyr channel that type of energy into whatever hero they're playing, whether it be Pangolier, Ember Spirit, or your typical Pods 4s, you know.
On for a little bit of a cheeky dual play there with FBZ, but playing close enough to the tower was Raven to get the initial damage, the additional damage through from Hyde, and a bit unconventional here with Kezcute. He's already level 4.5, Hyde not yet level 3, so a lot of farm over to the hard support on Boom, and it's not the worst idea, right? You want to be able to consistently run, you want to prevent this Monkey King from carrying as it gets later on. His TP's coming through will halt that.
It looks like there's going to be a big fight here between Boom and Geek. Makoto was making his way towards top as well. FBZ takes a lot of damage for that one. Trying to get the duel underneath the tower with Whitemon, but that was a rotation there from Carl, so they keep him alive for a little longer.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Things going well for GeekFam, it has to be said. Able to take full advantage of that stronger early game that they had. Dreamer Cell, he's always going to be this pressure down towards the bottom side of the map. He wants to be able to take out this tower, secure a bit more of the ancients for themselves, make it so that Monkey King, obviously it doesn't look like he's going into a heavy farm build, just the Echo Saber to start the game.
Yeah, it seems like that is the stock standard for a lot of these Monkey Kings, especially both that we've seen today, so just going to go for that aggressive build here, and Dreamer Cell's just starting to get his farm on right now, hitting closer and closer to that 4.5k net worth. He's moving towards that Mask of Madness, already has phase boots on the bear, so he can start putting a little bit of pressure on when he would like to. Makoto's pushing this mid tower, and they want to try and get the outpost here. FBZ cops a fire blast. They have another stun as well, so nice play there from Whitemon. And Carl. All right, Cuckoo made the rotation there with the lasso. We're able to take down Makoto. That's a big play for them.
That's a huge play for them. Being able to get all of that experience now. We can see Cuckoo, he's hit onto his level 8, so he's just going to be able to accelerate his farm even more. He's got a bottle, picks it up at the perfect time. He's going to grab this one on the bottom side as well and get closer and closer to those boots of travel.
He's going to be a speedy boy once that does come up. I really do like seeing this type of build coming up from Bat Riders. You know, just go for this speed build rather than rushing a Blink Dagger. Most of the time you can get on top of a lot of these heroes. You know, maybe the Ember Spirit might be the only one you can't really deal with, but at that time he's only in position 4 anyways, so Zephyr's not really priority number 1.
I rate this from Boom. I think it's something that they needed to do. They used the press the attack onto the siege, realizing that they just need to create a whole lot more pressure on this top side of the map, deny a lot away from GeekFam, but FBZ might go down again.
Oh, FBZ. It seems to be the story of this series. Unfortunately for him, he keeps getting caught out time and time again. A big play there from GeekFam being able to take down the Legion Commander. They take down the Tier 1 tower as well.
And bottom tower fully healthy though on Boom's side, so they've got that going for them, but this early game continues to go as it has. You can just see FBZ. He had a decent early game like we were talking about, but now, even though Cuckoo was binned in lane against that lone druid, he's been able to recover, just playing a bit more passively, and I suppose that's one thing that the Legion Commander doesn't have going for him. Needs to get kills successfully in the early game to start to snowball, and we've seen it's gone the other way around.
Yeah, it really feels like Cuckoo's just getting the better of these rotations. They have a lot of burst damage with Carl as well as Raven, so it's a lot easier for them to try and burst down some of these heroes, and I guess on the same vein, Boom really just need to sit and wait until their lone druid wants to try and fight with them, but mid lane looks like Cuckoo's going to try and get something done. Does have that flaming lasso. They want to get on top of Zephyr. Does not catch him on the bottom side though. Zephyr moves out as well. They're trying to get on top of the Ember Spirit, and they will be able to get him down. After using a decent amount, they get rid of that pesky Hyde Ember Spirit. And on the bottom side, Raven takes down a Tier 1 tower as well. So, GeekFam really put themselves in a good position here to take this third game.
Yeah, SBZ, he's only just hit onto his level 7. Cuckoo, he's level 9 and having a lot more happening around the map, causing them to defend. It's all that pressure around the map as well enabled the bottom tier 1 tower to go down. So now these ancients are opened up and you can see Carly's making the aggressive plays. They haven't had time to put down these defensive observer or sentry wards on the Radiant side.
Yeah, Dreamercell's just farming this ancient camp in a nice little safe position. They're going to go on top of Dreamercell here. They're going to be able to burst down the Lone Druid. No, he gets some more off and finally does get the true form off as well. So he's quite taking out, turning back around, Raven taking a little damage. The Doom comes down. FBZ turns that one back around. White might have looked like Boom were ready for that one.
I think that's just a case of GeekFam getting a little bit too impatient. They didn't need to wait to go in that early. Queen of Pain had Sonic Wave available in 5 seconds, so it's literally the difference of 1 or 2 seconds. That bursts down the Lone Druid. It means that those TPs probably get cancelled by Boom, and you don't lose your position 1 in the process.
He's true. A big play there from Boom, saving Dreamercell, turning it back around to get 2 kills. They're able to get FBZ the dual win as well. So 10 damage going into his back pocket. Moving himself towards the Vlad's going to go into a Solar Crest on top of that as well. So not wanting to get that instant initiation, looks like bottom side. They found out Makoto in the trees. Raven does get the sprout away, but doesn't matter because Carl picks him up there with the Scream of Pain. So even though Makoto had a much better landing stage than what Carl did, Makoto's really just not getting anything done on the map here.
Yeah, it's clear what he's trying to do. He's trying to create a whole lot more attention onto himself rather than Dreamercell, who's gone to a bit more of an aggressive single target build. He's gone the Mask of Madness, he's building up into the Desolator, but the Bear might be falling down here.
But just half HP. You want to commit all too much for it, but GeekFam putting a lot of pressure on early here. It really does feel like they're just starting to fall behind a little bit here on Boom. As you said, Dreamercell going for that Mask of Madness, going for that Desolator build, so he's going to be very much a threat to these buildings and a lot of these heroes if they do get locked down. But at the same time, Makoto is really starting to fall a little bit behind. He's almost got his Orchid though, so I guess he's not too far behind. He's actually still ahead of Carl, so... Actually, no, Carl is 300 ahead of him. I thought Makoto was a little bit higher on the network there.
And these lanes pushed out, wanting it to dissuade any sort of contest happening over these bounty runes, and still, even with that, they're only able to pick up 2, but I think for the stage that it's at right now, Boom are relatively okay with that. They've gone a bit more of this, again, buff up the Lone Druid style build. Helm of the Dominator now up on Kescute, just having the chainmail as well as the headdress, so building into the mechanism, and yeah, we've seen before with the Solar Crest and the Medallion being queued up by the LC. On into this hero play for Dreamercell's Bear. Has he named it? That's the key thing. No, it's just Spirit Bear.
Feels bad, man. It's not Alfredo. Not real Alfredo. Feels bad, man. But Zephyr's going to try and do what he can. He does get the Rolling Thunder all the way through here. He doesn't stop the True Form transform, so he's going to have to be careful. He's going to start the TP out here, though, and he will be able to get away. So Zephyr being the thorn in the side here for Boom ID. He doesn't clean up the entire creep wave, so they will have creeps to come into this G2 tower. They're going to smoke up as well, so Boom's going to try and look for a kill.
I think they were in range for that for a vision when they used that smoke, so able to get away. He's already got the Firefly popped, he's got the Faded Brooch, the Boots of Travel, and the Windlace. Good luck catching 500 move speed.
Oh, that is so much damage coming out there onto Hyde. He has to throw a rune all the way up, but he has no mana left on the other side, so they're going to be able to take down Kescute. No, the Hand of God keeps him alive for a little bit longer. They miss the Swashbuckle, but it doesn't matter, because Raven's here as well on the Monkey King, so the rest of GeekFam are turning back around. This is a haste rune onto Carl as well, so they're going to be able to take down Hyde. He tries to use the Sleight of Fist to dodge a little bit of the damage, but it doesn't matter, because GeekFam pick up yet another 2 kills.
I think they're okay with that on Boom. It forced a heavy rotation out of GeekFam. It means that Dreamercell is able to go down to this tier 2 tower that was completely pushed in and just start farming away. You've got the next lot of neutral items coming through as well, so we're going to be able to pop one of those onto his Bear. A lot more damage for him in that way. They were trying to get a bit of a stack going off there with the Chen, but traditional carry fashion, he's just like, me take creep now.
I need to hit creep, bro, sorry. We're looking for more here.
Positioning.
GeekFam, I know Dreamercell's around here somewhere, but they can't find him just yet. He's moved himself up and out. The rest of GeekFam didn't get on top of him, so The Druid lives to sing another day.
They saw that TP coming out from FBZ as well because he started to channel it and then cancelled. So be able to join this next fight, and it might cause some additional aggression coming through from GeekFam. But there's one of the first key items that are coming through from side. Desolator built up. These towers are going to melt a whole lot quicker. Still 3 minutes 20 seconds until the next glyph is available. Press the attack. It's going to be used a whole lot more aggressively. Might need to be used defensively though.
Okay. There was a little bit of ring around the rosy there for FBZ. They do fling forward here. They have the Flaming Lasso out onto Legion Commander Carl. Going forward, they want to try and take down this Legion Commander at the start. They do. So they lose one, but they lost Zephyr on the backside as well to Dreamsol in the mid lane. Do they have a way of stopping this TP? No, they don't. Carl didn't have the Sonic Wave to commit to that one, so Whitemon gets away with his life.
Hyde eventually comes up to the top side, but sure what for. Again, we've got more TPs coming down towards this bottom area. Makoto, he's going to farm that up. He's going the BKB, so it's clear that it's just about space, space, space. We need a fight right now. We need to take these towers, and it's not a huge net worth differential, it has to be said.
Yeah, that is true. It is less than 1,000 gold already right now here between GeekFam and Boom. Makoto is moving himself towards the BKB, so he's going to start team fighting when he wants to. But for now, I really feel like Boom needs to try and get a few more kills with their lone druid. But as you said, they've got Mask of Madness, they've got Deso. I feel like they should try and smoke up and just try and collect one of these heroes. You know, maybe even just an ogre here, which they found out Whitemon. They get the Orchid, get the Sprout on top. Makoto's just trying to get the body blocks down onto the ogre. Magi FBZ. Oh, you wanted the duel, but Carl says no.
No, I silence you.
No. No free damage for you today, sir.
Absolutely not. Dreamcell, he's up onto his level 15 and he's gone the Savage Roar cooldown, basically just realizing, look, I'm the one that's going to be able to win this game for my team, and I need to make sure I've got all the saves at my disposal. It's a 20-minute mark coming up, so they're going for this top outpost, making sure they take that, grab a couple of bounty runes, probably put a bit more pressure on this tower while the glyph is still disabled for the next minute 20, and then go into the Roshan, you would think. But, mostly smoke coming up from GeekFam. They want to make something happen now.
Yeah, Carl did jump up to the high ground there, so maybe a little pretty.
Easy again.
So they're going to be going, oh, FBZ, it's just in the wrong spot at the wrong time. They're going to be able to take him down. A big Flaming Lasso comes down onto the lone druid. He doesn't get the roar out properly. So he's going to be able to get his true form off, but I don't think it matters because he's going to die either way. Cuckoo picks that up with a double kill.
It's not good. Poor positioning. Makoto TP's down towards the bottom side of the map, but be needed to contest this Roshan. I suppose you don't really have the luxury of doing that with the lone druid not available. He's the one that's holding the majority of your net worth, and this is a free Rosh when really it should be going Boom's way. Oh no, they're gonna kill him as well. Just get away.
Yeah, it seems like Makoto does just live in the fountain, so
that might be a big mistake though. Roshan, it's takeable right now from Boom. They've used a lot of cooldowns.
Yeah, they're coming back in. Hyde's on the front line as well. Now comes the Ignite. There's a lot of damage. Hand of God keeping everybody a little bit more healthy. Hyde has to be careful. They've got Dreamer Soul spawning as well. Not all too much HP left here onto the Roshan. FBZ is coming forward. He wants to throw out the door onto Whitemon. Looks like he isn't able to get it here, and they do so much damage. They take down FBZ. So yeah, you might have Dreamer Soul coming back into this, but you don't have your Legion Commander. No way of dealing with a Flaming Lasso, no way of locking down this Queen of Pain.
I don't know, you don't have the Wukongs, you don't have the Sonic Wave, and, well, Lasso, it's up in another 10 seconds, but it's still a pretty okay fight to take for Boom. I suppose feeling that they can't take it quickly enough, maybe they can wait until LC's back up online.
They're walking in here with a lot of creeps coming out here from Kesku. They're going to try and get these stuns out, but it doesn't matter because Zephyr's doing that Rolling Thunder all the way through. They've taken down the Chen early on here. Carl comes in with the tips as well. He's going to be able to take down another. They found out Makoto on the backside. They've got the Nature's Prophet with the Flaming Lasso. He's going to go down. That's 3 dead already. GeekFam opening up the Roshan for themselves, opening up a net worth lead as well. Aegis will be going into the pocket of Raven, and this looks like it's starting to go from bad to worse for Boom.
Oh man, that's a disaster. They couldn't make the aggressive play because Dreamer Cell's Bear was taking so much damage. It was down to about 50% HP. He just respawned, so of course he had to resummon it, and it would have been 90 seconds without the Bear, and that's not only Roshan, that's also tier 2 towers and potentially even Arax.
Yeah, it really does feel like Boom ID are really starting to lose their grip on the game. They might have only had a few fingers on the ball, but right now it feels like they're starting to slip. Going to try and get more map control here is GeekFam. Carl's just going to push in this tier 2 tower. They're going to be able to take that down with the siege creep. They've only got a tier 2 tower left in all the other lanes, so they'll be able to spread out whenever they need to. Makoto's going to try and do what he can on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to out-execution for this game for GeekFam. Not respecting perhaps the timings that you need to be able to take these team fights and abusing them on Boom's side. Or TP happening from Makoto. Oh, just able to get away. Lasso still having 10 seconds on that cooldown.
Yeah, it would have been nice for Cuckoo to pick that up. There was a BKB for Raven that was killed on that courier, so another couple of minutes until Raven will have his BKB up now. Actually, no, it was only... Actually, was it the whole BKB? My eyes playing tricks on me. I swear it said it was the rest of the BKB.
Who's the boomer now?
I'm the boomer.
Yes. Me, I'm the boomer now.
Am I the boomer?
But yeah, we can see here, Makoto, he was kind of forced into, I don't want to say desperation, but farming anywhere that he can to try and take attention away from his team. GeekFam have been running at Boom this entire game. Good reason, it's been working out really well for them. That's one way to lock down the Lone Druid, is don't give him time to come online. And he's still about 600 gold away from finishing up his Basher. Impact in team fights. Legion Commander going again into that Solar Crest, about 1,500 or so away. And as well, this Nature's Prophet. He's picked up the BKB for himself, so that's a nice little bonus, but will it be enough to save them in this team fight? Probably not, you would think.
Well, they found out the Chen here. Kezcute, he's going to lose his life there to Raven. BKB or not, doesn't matter. Carl's coming forward. I did try and dodge the dagger, but unfortunately he didn't. Carl's just going to go onto the high ground here, feeling quite confident with his Queen of Pain. They do get the Orca coming out as well, the Sonic Wave, and the Screams coming in as well. The inside of the base. GeekFam say, we don't care where we are. We want to fight you. We want to send Boom down to the lower bracket, and that looks like that's what they're doing right now. Dreamer Cell is going to lose his life. He's going to lose his base as well. He does have buyout, but I don't think it matters. Let's have his bear off cooldown as well. They're going to try and get rid of Makoto, who has to TP back into his fountain. And GeekFam, they just hit the go button and they just say, see you later, Boom.
The only thing they're able to salvage out of that fight is that the Lone Druid didn't have to buy back, but still huge losses for them. They're even going to be able to secure 3 at least out of the 4 bounty runes.
Looks like they're getting into Dire's middle tower.
A lot more timers delayed for them, even popping that first 10-second BKB. It means with the LC buying back, suddenly that Solar Crest probably not going to be a reality for the next few team fights that are coming up. And, well, you would think that GeekFam, they probably have one more team fight that they want to take before this Aegis expires. Probably not going to have the Monkey King ultimate for it, but, you know, who really cares? You're able to pop it perhaps on the second life, and, yeah, they're keen to go.
Yeah, they are doing a lot of work right now.
I'm sure they've got a good idea of use the buyback there. FBZ, you would have to be target number 1, and one that's putting himself in perhaps a little bit too aggressive of a position. Sonic Wave up in 2.
Still doesn't have that buyout ready.
Look at Carl, he's just said, hit me.
He's just going to blink onto the high ground. He's going to BKB. They're going to try and get rid of FBZ at the start here. Dreamer Cell's Bear's doing a lot of damage, but it doesn't matter. They've lost the Legion Commander. 80 seconds without a Legion Commander. They're going to lose the Bear on top of that. I imagine there's not going to be a resummon for a little while here. Yeah, 82 seconds until Dreamer Cell's got a Bear, and GeekFam say, we're not going to take this anymore, Boom. We want to get this done. We want to have our foot in that grand final.
Yeah. Makoto doing exactly what he needs to do. Some Rat Dota happening. Tier 2 tower taken on the top side, but I think you're going to be able to stop this continued aggression from coming through. They've still got 20 seconds left on this Aegis, so to push it and try and force this TP back from the Nature's Prophet in the meantime.
Yeah, they're going to see what they can do here. As you said, Makoto's just trying to put what pressure he can on that top side. But GeekFam, they're coming in. They're going to be able to take down this tier 3 tower. They still have a little bit left here on the Aegis. I need to be very, very careful with how much pressure he actually puts onto this tier 3 tower. And as I say, the Aegis does get reclaimed there by Roshan. So Raven doesn't have that second life to play with just now, but they've already taken the tier 3 tower. Another 10 seconds until they have FBZ back up. Still a decent amount of time before they have another Bear on Dreamer Cell. So he's just pretty much sitting and waiting in the backside as this range creep that is Lone Druid without his Bear.
It's absolutely a dangerous position to be in. He's the one holding the Skull Basher right now, and it's gone from bad to worse.
They've reached Dire's top tower.
Even having to use the Smoke of Deceit while the creep wave is pushing into your base, mid lane as well. Makoto's going to clean it up because, of course, he could just TP in 20 team fight, but all this aggressive vision, I believe the Observer Ward inside the base, the first place that you check for vision when you go for a defensive smoke like this, and you can see how they're positioned as well on GeekFam. They're going to pop this smoke immediately as soon as they come up onto this high ground.
Yeah, well, they do get the scan there, so Boom understand that there are some heroes waiting on the high ground, but GeekFam, they're privy to this. They want to have this fight on their terms. Hyde. Well, poking his head out a little bit too far there, but fortunately enough, there was no fight, so...
Can take a breath, rethink their strategy, but it's starting to slip away from Boom. They're going for these pickoffs. Up an Orb of Destruction, which is going to be real nice to have. Nature's Prophet's going to grab it, but for the bear, if you're trying to go all in on one strategy, it's one way to go.
I guess he's probably just trying to keep the Vampire Fang so it can just stand and man fight. So Orb of Destruction on the other side here for GeekFam. So these tier 3 items are really starting to put the stamp on here for GeekFam. Raven will have that Orb of Destruction himself, so he's going to do a lot of damage with this Deso and Orb.
Gutsy position to be in here for FBZ. Obviously not wanting your Lone Druid to die again. His resummoned bear is up in 40 seconds, but he doesn't have enough for buyback, so you can't let this Lone Druid die, even if it means you're not going to get enough out of the map. So.
It is true. Well, games have slowed down a little bit here for Boom. That's what they would like. They are 12,000 gold behind. They are behind by 17 kills. No. Yes, 17 kills. I questioned myself. I should never question myself. I'm the Giga Brain. The Galaxy Brain.
See about that one. We're all grouped up, ready.
Oh, there's a Craggy coat there. There's a free Craggy coat. White Mod picked up a free Craggy coat.
Free money.
Was it his Craggy coat or was it an enemy Craggy coat?
We will see when he sends it back. He stands underneath all of these creeps.
Oh, it doesn't matter because they've called out Dreamer Cell. They don't need to worry about extra neutral items because they've got an extra hero kill. That's 60 seconds on the sideline without a Lone Druid and he's dead. Same with FBZ. Kezcute walks himself in and this seems like it's going to be game over. And finding the fight they would like. Dreamer Cell calls it in allied chat, but Kezcute calls it in all chat. And that will be a 2-1 victory here for GeekFam up against Boom ID. They moved themselves into the grand final. Boom moved themselves into the lower bracket where they will await either Fnatic or Neon Esports, the winner of our next series. But Matt, that was a good turnaround from GeekFam. I'm really impressed with how they turned around these last two games.
Yeah, I mean, it's just completely out.